Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Today I am here to cover Andrey Santos to Manchester United for £48 million with £2 million in add-ons, in achievable add-ons. And yeah, this is a signing that's come about really fast in terms of how fast it's come from United are interested to United have actually agreed the deal. So I want to explain to you my opinion on Andrey Santos. There's a lot of opinions out there. Some people are saying it's an absolute travesty. Some people are saying it's a nice niche bit of business. Chelsea fans, some of them are gutted about him leaving. Some of them are not bothered. United fans all over the place with it. So I'm going to give my best, analysis on Andrey Santos, and I hope you respect it enough because I've done a lot of research on him. So again, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel for all these analysis on all the players who are going to sign over the summer, managers, World Cup action. So yeah, if you do enjoy, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and stay with us. So Andrey Santos, central midfielder, 22 years old, Brazilian. Someone who I've watched quite a lot. I mean, we've spoken when Rossinha got appointed by Chelsea, just how much I actually liked Andrey Santos under him and why Liam Rossinha valued him so much. And I've got a quote here from Liam Rossinha saying, his tactical knowledge, technique and passing are impressive for someone of his age. He can reach the very highest level. He's a very special player. Now, just before we actually go on into talk about all the technical work and all the data I've got on Andrey Santos, I think it's really key to it to sort of extrapolate all of the leadership qualities and all the due diligence that will be done on Andrey Santos's background as a character, as a person. He's a player who's been captained at Brazil at all the youth groups, at U20, U21s. He's been captain of the youth teams all the way up until he's been a senior footballer. He was a captain of Strasbourg numerous amount of times in league, earning 24-25. He was given the armband multiple times for Rossinha. And he's a player who, at his very young age, has always been a humble character. There's loads of quotes about him talking about, the way his mentality is, especially from his Brazil coaches. But the legendary Juninho said, "You don't often find a player well prepared at this age. Physically, he's so strong and way ahead of everyone else technically too. He's going to be a much better player than I was. He's a more complete player. I hadn't played as much as he has when he was 18. I'm not at all ashamed to say that. He's Vasco da Gama under-20s coach. We always said in the academy we were looking at a national team level player, a Chelsea level player. He carried the balls, the cones, never complained. He was already being called up from Brazil and always remained humble. He positioned himself well and was always involved with the ball regardless of the intensity of the game." So for me, straight away, all of the due diligence, all of the coaches that have worked with him seem to really appreciate him and really value him as a character, as a player. What are his standout technical qualities? For me, he's a very, very snappy 1-2 touch passer. And this is something that you'll hear a lot throughout this video. One touch, 2 touch, arriving into space, little combinations, small-sided games, and very similar to a Kobbie Mainoo type mould, if I'm being honest. And in the build-up, Chelsea have often, when the ball's at the goalkeeper, they play with 2 in front like this. And when the press is actually worked on, and I actually watched the Manchester City game for a lot of this, he's a very, very intelligent player when it comes to moving in behind this line. So oftentimes, he would come short and play in between like that, receive it, play off like that, and then he'd look to spin straight away and attack the space in behind his striker, in behind the press like that. And he's a very mobile player. And when I was watching him, I did feel like, I know, in my opinion, I do believe that this is a data signing from Manchester United. I'll go on to talk about his data in a minute. I do think they've sorted this one out for data reasons, and the data doesn't reflect. His data is very good and probably worth more than £50 million, which is why I think they've gone there. But his data is that good. But in my opinion, after losing out on Mateus Fernandes, he has similar-ish qualities to him. He's very mobile. He's very active on the ball. He gets a lot of touch to the ball. He demands the ball in really tight areas. He's not someone who's always, when Chelsea get further up the pitch and they morph into that like free back like this, when they get further up the pitch and there's just 3 sitters like that, and he's one of the 2, he's always demanding it in behind the pressure, inside the block. He's not someone who's going to stand over here, get the ball and then pass it sideways. In my opinion, when I've watched him for Chelsea and Strasbourg, he's very much a player who likes to stay in here and ask for it in uncomfortable positions. His Vasco da Gama coach actually said that in one of the quotes. He demands the ball no matter the intensity of the game. And when he gets the ball inside the block like this, it's the way he uses his body, the way he can control the ball, the way he can move the ball, the way he can open up his body, gets a wide range of different techniques on it. He often likes to let the ball come into him, roll it, opens up his side foot and just lets it bounce off his side foot through little pockets of space. So I'm going to show you some examples on your screen right now straight away to talk to you about his one-touch work. So this is an example we have here against Napoli. We can see that there's a 4-2 build-up right there with the goalkeeper splitting the centre-halves. Andrey Santos is, again, he's not outside the block. He's receiving inside the pressure of Napoli. And he actually gets the ball here. It's one touch. So he receives the ball, doesn't try and control it, pass it backwards. One touch, straight through the lines, and it puts Enzo Fernandez right the way through the block, puts them on a transition, and Chelsea can attack with depth. And now I want to talk to you about the one touch and the runs ahead of the ball. So this is what I'm talking about. In the Sandro Tonali piece, I mentioned how important it is in the modern game to have someone who can lay the ball off and then run in behind. He scored so many goals at Strasbourg. I think he scored 10 in 32 appearances. And them 10 goals, pretty much, some of them came from set pieces, but a lot of them came from arriving late into the opposition's box. And his ability to arrive late is really useful. He's a very complete player in terms of a 6, 8 and 10. He can come and get it off the centre-halves like this. He can also receive it high. I'll show you some examples about that. And he's also shown in the past that he can score goals in the opposition's box for Strasbourg. And he has already scored a few for Chelsea. So again, some one-touch work on your screen right now. Same thing we was mentioning before. 4-2 build-up. Andrey Santos is on the right-hand side of that build-up. We can see that he's scanning, looking behind the press. When the ball comes over to his side, he braces himself, squats down, obviously to shift his body, shifts his body inside, one touch, bounces it off Cole Palmer, gets it back off Cole Palmer, Liam Delap into him, then Cole Palmer out to Cucurella, and they can attack directly on Spurs' block. So I've described him in the past when he was playing at Chelsea before I'd actually watched him for Manchester United. I described him as an accelerator pedal, someone who is very, very few touches, a lot of actions, and he likes to keep the tempo really high. Now, for me, Kobbie Mainoo is that sort of mould in terms of the 1-2 touch work, but the negatives for me are more to do with his rashness out of possession. I think a lot of people, when they had him, when we got linked to him, I think a lot of people thought straight away that he was a bit of a bruiser, someone who would just apply themselves to every duel. I will say this now. Get French Football News nominated Andrey Santos the Ligue 1 Young Player of the Year in 24-25. He didn't win the actual Ligue 1 Young Player of the Year. It was Desiree Doué. But if I'm thinking about Manchester United and I'm thinking about the names that are being thrown around in the market, everyone always goes, why don't we just go and get a Ligue 1 midfielder, big physical midfielder who can handle the physicality, because the physicality of that league's so good, but can also pass the ball. Andrey Santos has proven that like 2 seasons ago, literally 2 seasons ago, he was one of the best midfielders in that league. So I do think he has qualms and a bit of concerns out of possession. His first step, he's really aggressive. He's really tight. He commits a lot of fouls. He's really a bit of a nuisance receiving on the back. If someone's coming and getting the ball like this in front of him, the way he can step into that like that is really good. It's really sharp. But he doesn't really have the outstanding physical attributes to like shift a duel in his favour for me, especially in like more high pressing situations. Oftentimes at Chelsea, Rossinha would give him ridiculously hard man-to-man jobs. I remember the game against City at Stamford Bridge where he was basically being told to man-mark Nico O'Reilly's, half-space runs like this, and he conceded a goal with Nico O'Reilly stood on him, and he can't really favour himself in the duel. But his duel winning success rate is pretty strong. I've got some data now to show you on your screen to say this is every single Manchester United midfielder per 90 from last season compared across with Andrey Santos. And straight away, the things that stand out is that he's got more touches, more passes, higher passing accuracy than any other Manchester United midfielder last season, which straight away is a good thing. I think Man United under Michael Carrick have often been sometimes a bit frantic on the ball, sometimes a bit loose on the ball. He does protect the ball very, very well. But at the bottom of this graph, his dual winning success rate is 60%, which is higher than any other Manchester United midfielder last season. So this is why I think this is a data-led signing from Manchester United. I think this is a signing that all of his data that I've pulled is really, really strong. And when I watch him, I do get that sense. With his duels, I'm not too sure. But again, I'm saying this is a player who's played in Ligue 1, who's played 6, 8, 10, has gone between boxes, has been one of the best young players in that division. He is, in my opinion, a lot of people are angry at this signing. And a lot of people are like putting their anger because we've also signed Ederson. So it means we're not going to get Ederson and 2 superstars. For 50 million in this market, I think this is a good deal. I genuinely will. I'll put my neck out on the line. I think this is a good deal. I think this is a player individually Man United fans will enjoy. I enjoyed watching him. I think he's really good technically. I think he's clean. He doesn't lose the ball. And when we're talking about him being technically clean and not losing the ball, straight away you might think, oh, well, he's just passing it sideways. That's not really the case. I've got some graphics on your screen right now. Premier League 25-26 attacking line breaking passes per 90 for midfielders under the age of 23 in the Premier League last season. No one has more than Andrey Santos. Not Elliot Anderson, not Matheus Fernandes, not Kobbie Mainoo, not Adam Wharton. So I know Chelsea hold a lot of the ball, and I know he has more, chances to create them line-breaking passes. But Matheus Fernandes is worth 85 million on that list. Elliot Anderson's worth 115 million on that list. Andrey Santos is worth 50 million. So pound for pound, you can understand why the deal has come about. And this is why I'm saying I think it's more data-led. I've got another graphic on your screen right now which shows line-breaking passes in entirety, so not attacking line-breaking passes. So as we mentioned before, he can play 6, he can play 8, and he can play 10, shown by the attacking line-breaking passes per 90 that he has. When he's high up the pitch, he can snap lines. But his overall line-breaking passes per 90 is still second for under-23 midfielders in the Premier League. Only Elliot Anderson has more. He has more than Adam Wharton, Kobbie Mainoo, and Matheus Fernandes for that stat, which is basically snapping lines. And when I watch Manchester United, a lot of their possession just doesn't get inside enough. In the early games under Michael Carrick, we were breaking lines really quickly, playing in tight, small areas. Andrey Santos is of that mould. He has that ability to play 1-2 touch tight in the pockets, really, really sharp, stabby passer, not really much time spent on the ball. So I do get that. I was speaking to a lot of people about what can we expect from Manchester United next season under Michael Carrick, and I was doing a lot of research. When PSG played in the Champions League final against Inter Milan a couple of years ago, Michael Carrick was actually doing some social media work for Amazon. And I found a video that's not really that popular out there. And he was asked, what do you love so much about this PSG team? And he went straight away and he went, the midfield. He went, the midfield, the way they use rotations, short combinations, short passing, the way they play in unison, the way they, have the technical floor and they can just play around teams. And he went on for a while talking about, for like a minute, talking about how much he appreciates that midfield and how much he thinks that midfield is more suited to playing in the modern game. If I think of Kobbie Mainoo and Andrey Santos, not so much Ederson, but if I think of Kobbie Mainoo and Andrey Santos, they have that ability to play tight, small, knitted passes, rotate in there, come and get the ball in dangerous areas. And for me, I genuinely just think it's a decent signing. The only problem is with the signing, and I know a lot of people say like, oh, well, you can't say this and then say that, but the Ederson signing, if he was in place of Ederson, he's not. It would, in my opinion, be a brilliant signing as a third midfielder, a brilliant signing. But we have to assess this like individually. And for me, Andrey Santos is a very good midfielder. And for 50 million in this market, I don't think you're going to get more of a pound for pound better deal, anywhere really. And it's not often I really praise Manchester United in the market. It's not often at all. But I just think this signing for me is one that I can tip my hat to and go, I can see everything about it. He tops all the line-breaking passes charts for midfielders under 23. He's Premier League proven. He's available, more importantly. He played a lot for Chelsea, sometimes even benching some of the first-team midfielders. He's got so many good reference points from all of his coaches that he's already worked under at Vasco da Gama, Strasbourg, Chelsea. And he's got a humble side to his game. But then he's also got tight-knit passing. His dual winning percentage is ridiculously high when you're comparing it to Manchester United midfielders. And he can score a goal. So, in my opinion, I completely understand why this deal's come about. And I'm gonna now show you some more examples of what I mean about his game, what to watch out for. And this is a 1v1 defensive situation. So as I mentioned before, he doesn't have the outstanding physical quality. When I mean this, I say he's not extremely fast over large distances. He's sharp off the mark, but running at full pelt over meters and meters of grass is an issue. Now, under Michael Carrick, Manchester United sat in a lot and relied on them counter-attacks. So he plays a lot better in a deep block where he can jump out in small spaces. And if that is to stay next season, I can imagine him working pretty well at that. Playing in this deep block like this. We have to defend it in 4-4-2 under Michael Carrick since he's come in. And if he's playing inside like this in these tighter areas and the opposition are trying to snap it into the lines for these players here, his jumps are really well timed, they're aggressive, and he will keep doing that throughout games. So I completely understand over large grass where, you know, maybe we're pressing a little bit higher like this and he comes and gets it here and the distances is maybe now this big, that's when it becomes a little bit more of a problem. I watched the game against Napoli, Manchester City, he was just a bit too far away from the duel. But I've got an example of what I want to show you when I'm talking about all them like defensive 1v1s and such. So again, we've got this example here against Barcelona. Now, he reads the situation really well here, and this is something that if you can't have the outstanding physical traits, have a little bit of awareness and intelligence of knowing when to jump and knowing the game. And that is exactly what he does in this Barcelona example. We can see that he's on his man in Andreas Christensen. Jules Koundé receives the ball and he's not looked up, and Andrey Santos immediately has clocked that he's not got a scan around him. Again, small distances. We're talking about a metre of space between him and the man. He steps out so aggressively, forces a high turnover, and then Chelsea can attack Barca deep. And this is where, when we're combining in them really tight areas under Michael Carrick and we're using all these small space stuff, if the ball is turned over, him and Kobbie Mainoo in small spaces can jump really well. They are aggressive. So over the large distances, that I think is a bit of a worry. So another example on your screen right now, this is against Manchester City, and this is now talking about sort of his wide 1v1s and how he approaches 1v1s against dribblers and stuff like that. So we can see here he chases Cherki down the wing. He's a side on, really good body positioning here. And then he likes to do that thing where he bends his knee and kind of blocks the ball like that to stop the cross coming in. Really nice approach to his 1v1s, bends the knee, obviously blocks Ryan Cherki's cross. Then the ball becomes loose. What does he do? He gets his arm across, gets his hips in, blocks Cherki from getting to the ball, wins the ball inside the box. He gets pressed by two players. And again, we're talking about them short stabbed passes to get out of trouble. He gets pressed by two man. Nice, really good, outside the boot, stabbed into a midfielder, and Chelsea are out. So in the small space, he's brilliant, I would say. The biggest concern I have personally is that I think Manchester United still need a more long-legged midfielder. I think him and Kobbie Mainoo can very much work in games against the lesser oppositions. I think they would kill teams like, you know, like the newly promoted sides, the teams that are going to be down there. When Manchester United are at home and they're pinning a team back, I think Andrey Santos and Kobbie Mainoo would kill teams inside the block with the variety of passing, with the way they take the ball, the unique spaces they find. I think Michael Carrick will really enjoy working with Andrey Santos because of that courage to go and stand in them difficult areas, receive the ball and play in there and be a really, really tight-knitted player. So, but again, as I've said, he's not just someone who gets the ball here. This is a midfielder who's still pretty good at getting forward. And when the ball is worked into the opposition's area, you do see a different type of player to Andrey Santos. One that, you know, you can imagine if the play's worked all the way up into the opposition's half, he's so good at knowing where to stand. Oftentimes, imagine you're high up the pitch. Oftentimes you'll get a player who's stood there, and all your players are pushed up the pitch like that. And you'll have your two centre-halves stood in front like this. I know it's messy, but you'll have two players stood in front of the pitch like this. And sometimes when the opposition's blocks there, sometimes a midfielder will come and stand here, and it annoys the life out of me. He refuses to do that. He will go and stand behind that striker at all times, because he can receive and take that man out of the game. And the way he receives it, the way he can open his body and play then and bounce inside like that is really good. So I've got this example against Bayern Munich to show you what I mean by that. So again, takes it really high up. Look at the positioning of Chelsea. They are boxed in Bayern Munich. Where does he receive it? Behind Bayern Munich striker Serge Gnabry in this position. Receives it, opens up his gate. So again, takes it, side foot, rolls it, opens up the pitch, looks across the pitch. You can see him plate inside to Gusto. We're talking about that tight-knitted passes. Bounces it off Gusto, gets it back. Nice, lovely disguise on this pass, and that's the one thing he's also got going for him, is a lot of disguise on his pass. So he's looking diagonally, he's looking literally right onto the line, Cole Palmer, nice run, and he slips a ball, really nice, stabbed through ball. And this is actually, I think, a Palmer goal. I'm not sure if it got disallowed or not for an offside, but definitely scores. So yeah, we're talking about a player who can, around the area, can find tight-knitted passes. He can score goals. He can duel back, going off the numbers. He can break attacking lines. He can break lines in open play, settle defence. But he's more of a player I would be concerned with in larger spaces off the ball. I don't think he's absolutely electric off the mark. I think he's quite slow in bigger spaces when he gets up to speed. But all in all, I think it's a good signing, as long as the third midfielder is someone who contributes them bigger legs with, bigger ground coverage. And that old Tchouameni's just signed a new deal at Real Madrid, and he pretty much used us for that. But that type of midfielder alongside Ederson and Santos I can understand, but it's whether or not Manchester United will obviously get that midfield, and we don't know that yet. But in isolation, when talking about Andrey Santos, I like that player, and he's a player who I liked before Manchester United were linked to him. There's a video I've got of Rafinha when he got appointed at Chelsea, and I was talking about how he's going to use Andrey Santos more because the way he plays is a lot more suited to attacking, small spaces in the middle of the pitch, which is where I think you can hurt teams the most. So this is not a player who I've made my mind up overnight on and just convinced myself he's good. I've always liked this player. I've said multiple times on Twitter when I watched him, I'm a massive fan of him in terms of the way he uses the ball and the way he passes the ball. And some people might say I'm coping. Some people might say I'm hoping for the transfer to do well and stuff like that. But I genuinely believe this is a good player and a player who I've liked prior. So yeah, it's a really interesting signing. One that obviously we're yet to see how it works, but I have to say I do like him. And just one final graphic on your screen right now, which is looking at them line-breaking passes. I meant to throw this up earlier, but all of Andrey Santos' line-breaking passes in the Premier League last season on your screen right now. What is the running theme when you look at these line-breaking passes? Like, what can I take from this? Look at the cluster in the middle of the pitch. The cluster in the middle of the pitch, that straight line going through the centre circle. So many passes through the centre. And this is what I think Manchester United need more of. More progression through the middle of the pitch. Kobbie Mainoo is not someone who's a really good progressive line-breaking passer. He's more someone who's going to drop the shoulder, work in tight spaces, get it to the winger, make a little run deep. So, yeah, I really hope this signing works out because he's a player I actually really like, and I think he's a really good player. And I'm quite shocked Chelsea have let him go. I will say that. I think he's a project player, first season in the Premier League. He's always been available for him. He's had really good remarks off managers. And I'm just quite surprised that Chelsea have let him go, especially when I definitely think Xabi Alonso would have liked him in a tight-knitted passing situations. He's a lot of short distribution at Chelsea. He's got 3 centre-backs behind him if he uses a 3-4-3. So personally for me, I'm quite surprised he's let him go. And I know he's not really worked or seen him yet, but yeah, I'm a bit shocked. And I do think it is more of a pound-for-pound good deal where the value for money on this transfer for all the data, plus the Premier League proven, which we cannot discard, is good. It's pretty decent. The marquee signing is still waiting. So I'm really interested to see who that last marquee midfielder is and who is going to balance out Ederson, Kobbie, Santos. I'm really interested to see who balances out them 3 in there. So yeah, I think it's a good deal. I'll say it. I think it's a good deal. I think it's one that I like, a player that I like. So yeah, I hope you appreciate the analysis and the amount of work that I've put into this one. And if you did like, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Overlap Breakdown channel. And we'll be back next week for some more analysis. Thank you.
This has been a Global and the Overlap production.